I was discussing using improv with my friend, and he said that he's a much more structured individual and desires an outline and potentially reading out what you wrote and maybe putting images to that or something of that nature. And I don't really work like that anymore. But the thing is, when I started, I did. I used to have an outline for every production in which I did. So it is the purpose of this episode to seek ways that we can structure and outline our episodes if that's the route that we want to take. And I have planned part of this episode out in order to show you what I'm talking about and how to do that. In my beginning, I had a notepad and a pen, and the notepad would be full of notes that are related to the episode. And occasionally during the episode, I can look down at where I am and where I'm going. These episodes would be divided into bullet points, which would cover topics in which I wanted to analyze. Each bullet point would be a scene. When I first started this, I did not divide my content into scenes. I just did one big take and just referred to my notepad all of the time. But now I divide them into scenes because I think that's a much better experience for the viewer. But I would use one bullet point per scene, and I could expand on that bullet point and make divisions within the one bullet point, but one bullet point would be a scene. There's other ways to do this. There's always a script. You could write a script and read that script off of a screen in front of you. Or you could partially write a script, or you could write many thoughts and just follow along with it. It doesn't really matter how you do it. You can always even just record your voice and then put images to a voiceover, and you can use as much or little of the screen as you want. So you can populate it with a lot of ideas, or you can only have the bare basics in there, and then you can expand on that content within your productions. Pros and cons. Well, it's always good to know what you're going to talk about. So being able to plan your episodes in detail may be able to give you the ability to create the meaning that you so desired. See, I do this differently because I let the meaning form itself and I don't tell the meaning what I want it to be. So it's really hard for me to do this now, coming back to it. Like, it's not the best way for me to function, but it is the way that I started out. So I just wanted to share my experiences using methods like these. You always know what to say when you have it planned out in front of you. Cons would be a rigid format because you have to stay in the confines of the outline in which you designed. But maybe you could not always do this. Maybe you could sometimes go outside those bounds. You don't always have to stick to the script. Sorry for having my bong in the background. I try not to do that. But why do I try not to do that? It's a part of me and my life. Ooh, now I finished that script stuff, which was so annoying, and I can just relax and be myself and talk about my feelings on creating a structure to guide and develop your videos. I think the heart leading can create a much better video. But in saying that, it doesn't mean that you don't have to plan your videos, because you can just put bullet points down and expand upon those bullet points and still allow your heart to go where it wants to whenever the time comes. There are a lot of YouTube channels that use scripts throughout their entire productions. So if you chose to use a script, then you would not be doing anything new. I much prefer to build my productions scene by scene. So each scene, plan out what I'm going to say in that scene, what information I am going to convey, and then record the scene. And then you forget about it because it's the next scene after that, which you will then plan out and then convey the information that you want to convey. It's much more effective, in my opinion, building scene by scene rather than trying to build a whole episode at once. I don't want to be restricted. I want to be able to convey anything that I come across. And I don't want to have to convey something that I thought of beforehand. I think it's a much better production if you gain the meaning as you go. So you're having these experiences with the viewer. I'm having an experience with you right now. We're hanging out and we're discussing philosophy, and we're creating that experience together. I'm not telling myself what I want this episode to be. I'm letting the experience with you of this episode rule the episode. If you come to the camera already knowing what you are going to say, then you are missing an opportunity to emotionally connect with the viewer. You want the viewer to be a part of this reality that you are building before them. And you don't want to come to them with a story that's already been fabricated. You want to provide them the reality, which is you, which is your heart. So this is how you share your heart. You can't share your heart effectively by creating stories and then coming to the camera with those stories. You need to create those stories while on camera, because this is a whole experience, and it's not only an experience for me, it's also an experience for the viewer. So maybe you don't like the conclusions that I come to, but you want to be able to emotionally connect with your viewers. And if you are hiding behind a script or even an outline, then that is standing in front of you and your viewers. So you might not be able to emotionally connect with your viewers effectively if you do this. It all depends on what you want out of your YouTube channel, because if you want to connect with others, then you should let your heart lead. But if you just want views, then you can do anything that you want. Sometimes we have to put ourselves outside of our comfort zone in order to grow. And that may mean pressing the record button and allowing whatever to happen. If you must plan out everything, why not just start with a topic and then analyze that topic scene by scene? It's not like I'm not planning what I'm going to say here. It just means that I plan each scene one by one instead of planning all of the scenes and then following that format. Planning your episodes turns yourself into a puppet. And yes, you might also be the puppeteer. But can you live with being a puppet? I appreciate your attention span. Until next time, this is Wendell signing off.